I am just here doing the service checkover on your 2019 Kawasaki Teryx. First, right off the bat, I want to continue. I want to continue to. If I haven't thanked you before, I want to thank you now for always making sure that your ride is nice and clean when you bring it here for service. It really, really, really makes my life a lot easier, especially with the cleanup after I'm finished servicing it. So I've gone through the service checklist, and I did find a few things that we're going to need to do some work with. Nothing too major. Mostly things that I expect to see when you're running large tires. This guy, we're going to have to put a wheel bearing in that. I'm starting to see some play in it. So I think what we'll do is I'm going to put. I don't have any of the aftermarket ones in stock, so I'm going to put an OEM one in it. They have those in stock over at the dealer, so I'll grab one of those and install that. On this side, we have play in that outer tie rod end, and we continue to have play in the steering rack. That feels to me to be about the same as it was the last time it was here, so I'm just going to continue to monitor that each time you come in, because it's a little bit more expensive to replace a steering rack. Let's see what else. Your brake fluid. Normally that would have been due this year anyway. It's due every 2 to 3 years to be changed out. But I did test yours, and I found that the fluid is quite water contaminated. So I don't know if I went over this with you before, but the reservoir caps are vented to atmosphere, and there's a little diaphragm in top. And you can see all the muddy water that it was on because this is the upside, so the cap goes together like this. And how water gets in is because this is not this is not waterproof, and it's actually made so that air can go up into these parts of the passages and the threads, and go up and on the top, over the top of the diaphragm, so that when your brake pads are wearing, or when you're pressing on the brake pedal, that you're not trying to create any kind of a vacuum in your reservoir and your fluid will actually move. The drawback of that, where these master cylinders are located, right above that left front wheel, is that you get a lot of mud, you get a lot of water that splashes up on there, and unfortunately, that is just a side effect of that. One thing I would mention to you, that where you do keep your bike really clean, I don't know if you pressure wash it or not. Some people do, some people don't. You might want to just take something like a little baggie and zip tie before you wash the machine, and cover that over, and then just take that back off when you're done washing it, and that way you're not adding anything extra in underneath those threads to get up into your brake fluid. If this were, I do believe, like a Honda Pioneer, Hondas actually have, last time I looked, they have the same sort of setup, but Honda actually developed this great big giant rubber thing that covers over the entire master cylinder, the cap and everything. It still gets its air, but it protects it from that spray of water and stuff and mud that goes up onto the master cylinder area. Let's see what's next. So tie rod end, wheel bearing, brake fluid, battery. I load tested your battery. I'm getting 250 cold cranking amps off that MotoMaster battery. Battery is rated at 270. It is telling me it's at 81% charged, so I'm going to charge it up. And then after a couple of days, I'm going to load test it again and see if it's dropping back down again. So if it's doing that, then I know that we're catching it at the beginning of it, decide if it's last gasping breaths kind of thing, where you're going to get halfway through the summer, and then one day you're going to go out to start your machine, and it's not going to want to start anymore. Normally, if I put the USA battery in it, the OEM, USA, however you want to pronounce it, a USA battery at 81% charged, if it's healthy, I would not be surprised to see well over 300 cold cranking amps, even though that battery is rated at 270. So just to give you an idea of where your battery sits. at the moment. So I'll get back to you on that one. Brake fluid, battery. I have not run the machine up to operating temperature. Make sure that your cooling fan is working yet. I will do that after I have fluids all back in it because it's currently just sitting here dry of fluid. We will flush out that brake system. Next, I'm going to be doing, also have to do the fuel filter at your tank. So I will pop that out and replace the fuel filter while it's here. A couple of other items. You're also due, I think I'd made a note of it on my last invoice, that you were due for a coolant change. I think what we're going to do with that is there's a couple of plastics that I have to remove, like your center console, when I do your drive belt, which you will be due for next year if you keep up with the current usage on the machine. Those same plastics I can remove to do part of the coolant change, because I have to remove part of the belly pan, and I have to take the center console off again, and a couple of panels underneath the driver's seat to be able to access everything I need to be able to do the coolant change on it. So I'm thinking that we're going to do those two things your next service, where I have these other things that I have to do service and repair work to it at the moment. Anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will be in touch with you soon.